first episode of The Abyss. I'm Jack Mumford, and I'm joined with Lee. So Lee is 71 years old, and I don't think I've ever seen anyone his age in as good of shape as he is. It's pretty inspiring. So, without further ado, tell us about yourself, man. Where are you from? What what got you to where you are today? What workout wise, what shaped the mindset you have today? Just give us a little bit of background information on yourself.
Sure. I was raised in the Chicago area. I live in just north of Seattle now, and I've been out here for about, oh gosh, almost 50 years. But my father was a coach, so I grew up in sports, but I wasn't very big. And I saw weight training before anybody else. I was an early adopter, and I thought that might be a way that I could get a competitive advantage in sports if I got bigger and stronger. Because even back then, coaches and people were saying, "Well, you get muscle bound, and it'll make you slow." And
Yep.
of course, that's not the case, but that was the thing back in the 1960s and 70s. That's what a lot of people thought. So I got involved in that, and I've been training with weights consistently for 53 years.
Awesome.
And I became a national Masters Physique Champion in the over 60 category in 2023. And I've had a few challenges since then. I actually fell off a cliff and broke a bunch of bones and had spinal fusion surgery, and
Wow.
came back from that. And then I had a heart attack about it was in April, about 3 months ago. But they put a stent in, and I'm back in the weight room and going at it again. And
Love
so there's
it.
really no reason to stop as long as we can do it. And they said, fine, yeah, you're good to go. And I said, oh, well, then I'm going. And even if they just said I wasn't, I probably would have done it anyway.
Yeah,
But I love training. I've been doing it for 53 years. There's nothing better. We now have nutrition information that we never had when I started lifting. I was just eating
absolutely.
everything in sight, trying to get big. And I played 4 years of college football, basically on the practice squad as a tackling dummy for the varsity, but I lifted constantly and ate and got bigger. Uh, Now I've lost about 20, 30 of those pounds, but I love lifting. We have 168 hours in a week. Why not at least make four of them for weight training? I mean, we can mostly afford that. So there's no reason not to do it. We know that it's healthy, and it's just a part of my life, and I'm so glad because I'm still killing it at 71.
No, absolutely. What's crazy even about what you just said, there's 160 hours in a week. If I'm talking to a client of mine or just anyone, to be honest, even family, like I can't stand when they say there's no time. I'm like,
Right.
I mean, 4 hours for us that like are gym fanatics. I'm saying even an hour and a half, three full body workouts a week, 30 minutes. And people
Sure.
still say they don't have time for that. And then I'll have them do a time exercise where they take 168 hours a week, subtract how many hours they work, how many hours they're with their family, and then they realize there's like 50 hours they're just wasting. Like they don't even know.
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting, but no. So how long was the recovery for? You said it was a heart attack, and then first you fell off a cliff. You mentioned.
Yeah, 8 months after being a physique champion, it was actually Christmas Eve of 2023. I fell
Shoot.
off a cliff, and I fractured four vertebrae, broke my right ankle, my tore my left MCL, ripped up my labrum and rotator cuff, massive concussion, brain bleeding. Should have died, didn't. But they put me back together with a bunch of metal in my spine, and it took me about 14, 15, 16 months uh, of just after 3 months of inactivity. I crawled back into the gym and started from scratch. But there is such a thing as muscle memory, and I knew this, and I'm very
Yeah.
patient. So I just said, well, we'll take as long as it takes. And then well, actually, it was a week before I was supposed to compete again. I had the heart attack, and I should point out that most of the men in my family have heart attacks in their 40s. I got to at least 70.
Yeah.
So the gene pool is not strong. So I couldn't compete this past May that I wanted to, but we'll see how it goes. They don't have an over 70 category. If they ever start one, I'll be all over it. So
Absolutely. No.
but I'll always be training, and I train every day now because as a retired person, I have time and I can
Yeah.
actually sleep, and the schedule isn't just like running to this and that. So getting to train every day is a great luxury, and I just enjoy it. It's when I feel most like a man.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. That's a, Especially like, do you prefer working out by yourself, or do you have gym bros, as we call it, or friends that you work out with?
I prefer to actually work out by myself, and I didn't start that way. Back in the '70s when I
Same.
was training, I was actually training with guys, and you know we had the bro culture and whatnot. But now I know what's best for me. I don't want to get an ego involved with guys that want to compete and oh try and lift this much and do. I know exactly what my body needs, and so
Yeah,
I stay with that and it works out very well. Plus, I have incredible discipline. I have ridiculous discipline. It's most people aren't going to be able to stay with me, and I wouldn't expect them to. Uh, and but yeah, people look at me and they assume I'm in my 50s maybe, and then they find out I'm 71, and they're like, I'm going to leave this guy alone.
so I looked in your Instagram bio and it said 71-year-old physique champion. I'm like, oh my goodness, you look amazing.
Well, thank you. I got to say the face and all that stuff that was a good gene pool. The rest of it not so great, but yeah, I managed to now of course the next thing is they're telling me I'm battling some skin cancer stuff
Oh,
because
okay,
of
option
years of
numbers.
sun and
Yeah,
whatnot. So, yeah, so that's the next thing. So we'll cross that one off. We'll get that one out of the way. But it's at this point in life, you're just grateful for every day. You enjoy it. I've had a lot of success doing a lot of different things, and so it's just great to be active and around.
absolutely. And I mean, even like we talked about before we started, with you with like the heart attack and then falling off a cliff, and then me personally, I was diagnosed with a brain tumor, and I had some other things that occurred. But when you have something like that happen in your life, there's just a mindset shift. It's like you don't leave any you live every day to the fullest. You don't leave. Even for me, like I'm obsessed with time management. Like I do not waste time at all, which it kind of sounds like I feel like you're the same way.
Yeah.
I definitely have OCD, but no, when you have something like that, like I truly think it's a blessing because you do not waste time. Like I used to have, they're not my friends anymore, but that their version, they would just like to hang out. I've always been a little different. I've never just hung out. I always like, uh, if it was hanging out, it would be like working out for basketball because that's what I played. Now
Right.
it's like if we're working, it's like I'm with my mentor working on my fitness coaching business. But but no, you treat. I mean, for one, you treat people differently, and then two, you just it honestly just changes your entire being, like your perspective just on the world and how life can literally flash in front of you. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's pretty crazy. I mean, um, knock knock on knock on wood, my I still have my tumor in my pineal gland, but it's at a spot where if you're to have open brain surgery, that's a pretty dangerous that's a pretty
Yeah.
dangerous procedure. So it's still, as weird as it sounds, still in my head right now. But it hasn't grown. I'll get some MRIs to make sure all of that. But no, dude, I completely relate to that. Let's go back for a sec. Just because I heard you talk about corporate America, tell us about your career. What you did for work. I know you mentioned you're a fitness coach, but I assume corporate was before that.
Yeah, I actually was a in the communication department of mostly at the Boeing company for 33 years.
Okay,
The
that's what my
manu
grandfather did. Yeah,
Yeah, okay, manufacturing airplanes. And by the time I left, I was the chief of staff for the vice president of technology. So it was a very high stress job, but it was nice money. But at 65, I said that's enough. We're done.
yeah.
And so I've enjoyed my retirement years just doing some coaching and working out and getting enough sleep for the first time in my life. I'll probably start playing a little bit more music again. My wife and I had a band that we took across North America for 18 years, and
That's awesome.
yeah, I mean, we just every facet, and part of what should be mentioned too is part of my own purpose and mission and what I wanted to accomplish was I wanted to make sure that I was reaching the upper limits of my own genetic potential,
Absolutely.
intellectually, physically, artistically, emotionally, in these different areas. And I had visions for all of them, and I had a little bucket list of things that I was able to check off. And so now I'm not looking forward to death particularly, but I'm not afraid of it either because I
Yeah.
know that I live and I got everything done that I wanted to do. And there's more to do, hopefully, but I feel a level of satisfaction that I don't think probably a lot of people have, and
Oh,
so I feel
absolutely.
lucky about that. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I'm so glad you said that because that's how I live my life. Do you know David Goggins by chance?
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
He
yeah,
talks about the 1 second decision. Like if you, especially if it's something you know you should do and you're bullshitting or you're you're not gonna do it because you're lazy, whatever the case is. I truly believe in that. For him, it was because he was in Bud's training, and he talks about how it's not the 3 weeks that kills you; it's the every freaking second that because if 1 second you decide to let up and quit, you're done and you get kicked out. Um, so no, but what was what was my thought? I just lost it. I'll come back to it.
well, one of the
But
one of the great lessons SEALs. I used to ghostwrite for a Navy SEAL actually, and
okay,
one of the great lessons that I learned from them was this idea of getting to the next milestone. When they're
yes,
going through Hell Week, they're thinking, I won't make it till Thursday. I mean, but well, you only have to make it till dinner. You only have
yeah,
to make it through this evolution of this swim or this run or this horrible thing you have to do. Just do this, and then we'll think about quitting after that. Well, then you get
exactly.
through the next one, and once you're able to do that, it helps life. It helps you get through a lot of challenges that life has. Because when I was in the hospital most recently with the heart attack, I'm going, just get through this. You just get to this point, get to tomorrow. We'll see how the surgery goes. They put the stent in, and you go, okay, next thing. I can go back to the gym. All right, great, let's do that.
Yep.
And
I'm
so
happy
it's
I
it,
go
it's
through this.
yeah, life is a bunch of like just iterative moments, and you win some and you lose some. But if you stay in the fight, as maybe in a couple years they may be able to get that tumor. They have a
Yeah,
new technology that goes in can zap that thing. You don't know, but you got to be in the game. You got to
exactly.
stay in the fight. You got to be there for the win. So the people who check out and they don't show up, those are the ones who, well, they don't get the fruits of their labor. I
Yeah,
think you're going to have a really long, successful life, but the thing is, you're not taking anything for granted, and that's a huge advantage for you right now that a lot of people your age just don't have.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, that's part of the reason I moved across the country. I mean, just like it's very hard for me. I've often, even though I look younger due to the brain tumor, I've always been mature when it comes to either business or like, don't get me wrong, like a lot of people know me as like a funny, super funny, lighthearted guy, like I'll dance, whatever, but like I know when it's time to like switch. Like I'm very serious about my goals and all that because you get this life once. So any time that you're not working towards your goal or like you said something on your bucket list, you can't get that time back. That's why you
Right.
hear Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, they're always saying they're buying their time back because time is the most valuable thing we have. It's more valuable than money. People will literally pay people to get their time back. But people my age just don't get that. I think obviously not everyone's gonna have a brain tumor and all that sort of shit, but
Yeah, yeah. We don't recommend that but well, obviously you're making the best of it, and the other thing worth mentioning too is if you can, you know, we want to grind, we want to be grinders. At the same time, if you can find a way to enjoy that, It's
Yes.
almost like this neuroassociative thing that you do where you link pleasure to the discipline. You
Yep.
know, and like I to me like hunger when I'm competing, hunger is victory. If I'm
Yeah.
hungry, that means I'm winning. You know,
Yeah.
that means I am winning. And if you can find a way to make those neuroassociative linkages such that the pain is actually pleasure and you start to enjoy that process, and there's going to be moments where you feel superior to other people, and they're going to have, and you may beat yourself up about that, go well, but don't. uh, there are times when I just go, and the people go, you think you're better than me, and I go, yeah, by every objective measure I think I am. you know, every human metric I think I'm probably better. and but I'll also say, yeah, I'm not the guy that you want for auto mechanics or landscaping or home improvement. I suck at all that stuff. But if
Yeah.
you want somebody who can write books, literature, sports, music, I'm your guy. But I'm not disingenuous about any of it. I'll tell you how I suck, and I'll tell you where I'm good. But
Yeah.
people, people who want you to be false humility, I don't believe in false humility. You could, because humility is built in, as we know. You get
Yeah.
humbled. I mean, humility is undefeated. You have that
Yeah.
heart attack. You get to the point where you wear the adult diaper. You get to the point where, there's the humility is right there for you. So,
Absolutely.
but you don't have to be humble when there's no need to be. And so you can find that balance.
No, absolutely. And I mean, this isn't exactly the same thing, but it ties into it. Just like most of my life, I was a people pleaser, and I think it was because I think it all kind of comes together. But just being a really small kid, I felt like I would do. I just wanted, to be accepted like anyone does. So I'd just be super
Sure.
nice. But when you look different than everyone else, and you're also the nicest, the saying, they take kindness for weakness. I mean, it is unfortunately true.
Yeah.
I think one thing I've learned is it's better to be respected than liked. That's why I don't like even starting this podcast or posting on social media for my fitness business. Like half the time I still don't want to post. In my head I'm like, I'll just be like, I know someone's gonna think this is BS, but at the end of the day I still do it because I'm like, I'm not living a life for so and so. I'm living it for me, and I'm not
Right.
posting this piece of content for this person. I'm posting it for someone that actually needs it and needs the help. So it's just a mindset shift. But no, I agree with that.
Yeah,
In
and
terms of
if you're not getting criticized from people, you're probably not making an impact. I mean,
oh, absolutely,
I love when people criticize anything that I put out there. And the thing is, we can validate ourselves. We don't need validation from other people, and it gets easier as you get older. I mean,
absolutely,
because now I'm at the point where I don't care. Whatever anybody thinks is fine.
yeah,
You're at the point where, I hope I can add value, but people are going to think what they're going to think. But you did hit on something, and we want to be able to be liked and have a certain level of emotional intelligence because it's to our advantage to have people want to like us and help us. But we can learn to set boundaries, around that. So where people won't take kindness for weakness and they won't take advantage of you and they won't. And I, as a smaller kid myself, I understand exactly what you're what you're going through because the kids that got picked on me. Yeah, yeah, and it's like so I was at the way low end of the totem pole, but what saved me is my father was a prominent high school coach in Illinois where I grew up, and so a lot of the big athletes they would hang with me, and then I was protected most of the time, and I was a pretty good athlete myself, but I was always the little guy. It was like, oh, are you the mascot? No, I'm the starting point guard. Yeah, I'm not the mascot. I'm the guy distributing the ball to the rest of you. So yeah, it's pretty funny, and I know you understand completely, what that's all about.
absolutely. Tell me if I'm wrong, but I mean, I don't know to a degree if was the bullying physical and verbally for you.
Yeah, growing up in Chicago and the suburbs, and there were I can remember just by happenstance there were I always got along wonderfully with African American folks. I struggled with a lot of the Hispanic kids. And I can remember a time when three of them had me down on the ground and they had a knife to my genitals. And by some luck of nature, my father was driving by and saw this happening. Well, he got out of the car and started beating the snot out of all these three kids. And I'm jumping in, and man, we're wailing. And but that kind of thing went on. But I just tried to, I learned to not be by myself a lot, if that was possible.
For
And
sure.
so you weren't picked on if you were just, and because I didn't care about the verbal stuff. I look at now online bullying and stuff, and I just kind of go, oh, that's a thing. You know, to me, it's like fist in face is a thing. The online bullying, I don't care. You can't hurt me you can't hurt me with that. You can hurt me with a knife. Um,
Yeah.
so there was some of that, but we didn't have the gun issues that we have now. We didn't have when I was growing up. We didn't have guns on the streets. Now
Yeah.
every kid's got a gun, and it's like, oh, okay, I guess that's where we're
Yeah.
at. You know, but
Yeah.
I relate to the bullying thing a lot. Yeah.
No, for sure. One thought I had is if if you have, I mean, if you were someone that was bullied and like even like you were touching on people, and this has to do with everything, honestly, in today's world. Everyone likes to say they have this issue or they were bullied, and I'm like, re- respectfully, if that's what you call bullying, like that's criticism to me. I'm like, I
Yeah.
had a knife pull on my neck, my head banged against desk with none. I would be taking a I'd be taking a poop during lunch and people would throw things over the stall. Like
Yeah.
it's totally different. Like
Right.
but one thing I'll and you will never forget this if you were someone that was bullied to a degree like that, and even some of the other stuff I went through is someone that would, especially like you said, a bigger kid or someone that was respected more or seen as more dominant, sticking up for you. I don't know if you have anyone that comes to head, but for me, like I remember I was going back from, I was going to the next class and I was a junior in high school, and this is right after I had some stomach issues and then brain tumor. I had some other health issues going on, and I was walking the class. So I was shoot junior year. I was probably I don't junior year was when I actually got over 5 foot. So I'll talk about this later, but I actually grew like 8 inches my senior year. Like it was crazy. But what was I gonna say? Oh, so we're walking to class, and a freshman, um, from behind, he said something like, I forgot what the joke was, but it's like, dude, why are you so small? And I'm just this is what this is what he said. Excuse the language, but um, one of my friends turned around, and I didn't even know he was right there, but he's like, dude, shut up, faggot. And okay, so I did at that time I was so innocent. I'm not even gonna lie, like I didn't even know what that word was. But, but I will never forget that, just because the even what David Goggins says, taking someone's soul. That kid was shocked. Like he couldn't come back from it. So, but just in situations like that, when there is someone that can't stand up for themselves, and I mean,
Right.
I could I could have stuck up for myself physically because I'm always gonna bet on myself in that sort of situation, but mentally I didn't have any confidence or anything, so I wasn't gonna happen. But I think that's pretty cool because in a world like today, you'd rather take your phone and record it than actually help the person.
Yeah. Yeah. It's an interesting dynamic, and there are redemptive moments though. I It's a quick story. I when I was a I walked onto the Illinois State University football team as a freshman, and I was basically a tackling dummy for the varsity for 4 years. But I was a senior, and there was a freshman, huge tight end, who decided he just thought it would be a good idea to slam me up against the lockers one day in the locker room. No one liked this. I was very well liked because they all knew what I put up with and what I and so everybody, even the coaches, got in on this. We set this kid up. He's a tight end. They put me at safety, and everybody was in on it. And they said, we're going to throw this play where he goes over the middle, and the quarterback, and he's looking back at the quarterback, and the quarterback's just going to throw this lame duck
And you're gonna
out to him. And
pass out.
I've got a 30-yard head start. I'm starting back at the goal line, and I start running with the guys going, and I start going, and he's looking back, and the ball wasn't even close to him. You talk about pass interference, and hadn't even gotten close to him. And I just put my helmet under his chin and knocked him cold. And he's about 6'3", 240. And I was going about 5'8" at that time. I'm 5'6.5" now, but I was going about 160, and just knocked him into tomorrow. And everybody's laughing, and it's the kids on the gun. And it's the only time I ever stood over anybody and taunted them in my
Yeah.
life. But I did. I was kind of ashamed of that part afterwards. But he quit. He quit the team. He actually, he just said, I can't. He just couldn't face it. And but we didn't need that kind of person anyway. The kind of person that's going to slam somebody 100 pounds less than they are up against the locker for no reason is not the kind
Yep.
of guy you want in your culture. So,
Absolutely.
but there are those moments you never forget when there is some form of justice, and if you get to distribute it, man, that's even better. Uh, but I'm not saying an eye for an eye is always what we want to do, but there are moments when if you grow up and you're bullied and you're beaten and you have all these humiliating things going on, uh, this is what we create. We create crazy people like me who will go out and find justice. You know, and so so no, I think what you're doing is a great service. I think telling your story and overcoming the tumor and just not taking anything for granted. It's worth
Sure.
other people seeing this because they'll go, "Oh man, how did you see that Jack Mumford thing, man? He's like, he's got all this, he's got issues, man, but he's not letting it stop him. He's coaching, he's
Yeah.
training, and that's a real thing, and it's something to be admired, and it's part of your identity now. And we get to choose our identity, and it can be a heroic identity or it can be a kind of a waste of space, but we
Or a
get to
victim.
we have yeah, exactly. And we get to be this amazing person of choice. And we can select our values and our principles, and we can decide exactly who we want to be. And we can start living from that end state and bringing it forward to the point where, it's not fake it till you make it, it's fake it till you become it. And so
All I always talk about that. Yep.
yeah, and so it's like if you're clear on your values, the things that are important to you, you have some operating principles, the things that you stand for. All your decisions get very easy because my values are health, intelligence, humor, generosity, toughness, and beauty. So if I have a decision I have to make, I can go, is it intelligent? Is it healthy? Is it a lighthearted? Is it a generous spirit? Is it going to toughen me? Is it going to contribute to the world? So, and then if you have operating principles, like my foremost one is a little strict, but I say I only do things that strengthen me. I don't do anything that weakens me. And that's pretty harsh because that means you're not eating that cake or having that donut or that pop or what or that
Wait,
beer or whatever.
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that? Because I think that's like a really good mindset.
My first operating principle is I only do that which strengthens me. I do nothing that weakens me. So imagine
I
living that
love
way.
that.
It's easier when you're older because you're not as tempted by, I don't have the raging hormones and all the things, that young people have. But so I'm not as tempted by, but I also know the consequences. of eating badly, of eating too much, of sleeping too little, of not working out, of going after things that I shouldn't be going after, and being places I shouldn't be at. And so having that principle grounds me in doing the right thing. And then I have two others. The second one is simply that I differentiate myself from others by placing responsibility for feelings and behaviors where they belong. In other words, you're responsible for Jack, I'm responsible for me. And you
Yeah.
can't guilt trip me. You can't make me you can't hurt me with anything you say. You can hit me with a ball bat, that would hurt, but you can't hurt me with anything you say or anything you do. I'm responsible for that, and you're responsible for you. And the last one is a little harder for me to do. It's like I always make my energy bigger than my circumstances. And
Yes.
as
I
you
love
get older, your energy becomes a thing. And if you're taking medication for your heart, that becomes a thing.
it. Yeah.
And it's like, so energy is like, wow, I'll probably go take a nap after this. It's like, but because I could be a really high energy guy, and then there's
Yeah.
this crash, that I never used to have, but that's part of being 71. But it's okay, because when it's time to rise to the occasion, and
You're there. Yeah.
you will rise to it because you've already had to do it. You've already had so many times in your life where you've had to overcome, this sucks, but you've overcome it, and here you are, and now you're doing something positive, and you're helping people, and that's the most anybody can ask for. So, God
Yeah.
bless you for it.
No, I appreciate that. You too, my friend. That was awesome. One quick note because it was when I forgot what my train of thought was a few minutes ago, but like you said, it's harder at my age when there's all the temptations, everything. I'm like 20. I'm like 4 or 5 months. I turned 20 in January. But because I was in college, you have all the people sleeping with people every night, drinking every night, taking all the drugs you can think of, and for them, well, I've narrowed it down to, and if you actually look into it, it is a scientific fact. It's dopamine. That's what, for them, that's what they associate pleasure with and
Hmm.
fun. But it's not like I just don't I don't know so much how you can change it, but for me, I mean, in a very weird way, if you think about this, the fun they have doing all that stuff, that is the fun I have working. So it actually takes more discipline for me to go drink or do something like that. Like seriously, like I would rather like just be working working out. Like I can't even imagine that because at the end of the day it's escapism. You're escaping your current life because you don't like the circumstances. Because let's be honest, in college there's nothing really wrong. I would say, I mean, I personally will never drink alcohol. I just don't see the point of it. But I I'll be honest, I don't think there's anything wrong with just having one cup. But let's be honest, in college you don't drink one cup. You black out and then you will do another dumb decision. But I'm just being real.
Sure.
Um and I see these kids, dude, it's just like these 4 years, you're just never gonna, like, especially in college, you're just not gonna get back. And even after just going to college for half semester, I'd be in my room like I was working the overnight shift at a gym, like just grinding on my business just because I knew I wanted to pursue that and get out of college. So it worked out. That's pretty cool. But no, so I relate to that a lot. But
And
from
you'll be so much better after that. Yeah, you're gonna flourish because so many people, they feel like they're being discriminated against, or like you mentioned a while ago, they feel like they're a victim, and really, if it doesn't matter if you're excellent, if you're outstanding as you are demonstrating, it doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter what color you are. It doesn't matter what religion you are. It doesn't matter how big or small or short you are. What matters is you're excellent and they can't live without you.
yeah,
So I tell these young men who are worried about, well, the girls don't like me or whatever, I go, well, become excellent. If you
yeah,
become so awesome in like all these categories, the rest of it will take care of itself. You don't need game. You don't need to be,
no,
you don't
exactly.
need any of that stuff. Just be awesome. And if you're awesome, you won't have to worry about any of it. And I can tell you're on that path. So I can't wait till you're 25 because the next 5 years for you are going to be killer. So yeah, it's going to be
Appreciate
great.
that. I pray that everyone gets to a point like this mentally, but to touch on it, just how you said you mentioned girls and stuff, but like so especially like growing up, obviously with all that stuff, I had like zero confidence. Really, honestly, I that's one thing. No one ever knew what was going on. I hit it so well. That's honestly why I'm very lighthearted and joke because that's kind of my way of coping with it. Which
Sure.
I actually didn't realize that was like my actual way of coping till recently. I watched a Jimmy Fallon interview and a Kevin Hart interview, and the reason they became comedians are as funny as them because they're I don't want to say running away from pain, but they're channeling it into something positive, which I do feel like that's what I'm doing. But I just think it's interesting, like how it all makes sense. But I've always been like that, so it makes a lot of it just makes a lot of sense when you look at it from a holistic point of view. But no, I really agree with that. When you
And if,
oh sorry, what were you saying?
no, go ahead. No, go ahead. You were going to say when you something.
Oh, honestly, I forgot about my thoughts, so you're good.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I was going to say you probably, if you were like me, you probably used that humor and some of that when you were about to be bullied. I can remember being approached by two or three guys, and I thought if I can make these guys laugh, I can make them leave me alone.
Yeah,
And I remember doing that like in junior high, being like, 12, 13 years old, going, I can make these guys laugh, and then they go, yeah, leave, let him go. He's funny, and,
yeah,
so I sort of relate to that part of it because, um, I didn't really get grounded until I got into college a little bit and I started to get that identity and I knew a little bit more about who I wanted to be, what I was, and but I think we all lack confidence as we're growing up. We're all figure everybody else has got their stuff together, and we're the only ones
yeah.
who don't. And then you
Everyone
start to go.
in their own
eh,
respective way.
Yeah, yeah, and I was fortunate. I had a couple successes, and that kind of gave me some confidence. Uh, and honestly, with girls, it was pretty funny because the pain of certain rejection was not as bad to me as the pain of not trying. So I can remember asking like the hottest girl at Illinois State out,
Just
knowing
reminded
she
me
would,
my thought.
yeah, she just said, I knowing she would say no, and she said yes. So, so I'm like, oh my God, now what am I gonna do? Now I gotta. It's like the dog that chases the car and catches the car. It's like now what do I gotta do?
Okay,
So,
so
but it,
I got to piggyback off that. So that was the exact thought I was gonna say. Like, and this isn't a selfish way. Obviously, I only ask out a girl if and I don't participate in any of the modern day hookups and all that.
sure,
I date the marry. I fear God. I live by that. But so I'll ask if genuinely think they're a good person and they're obviously beautiful or hot, whatever. I'll ask
sure,
them out. But a lot of the times, like my friends honestly can't believe it because I'm at a point where I just don't care. I'll literally like I'll we could be walking somewhere. They're like, "Hey, go ask her out." I'll do it on the spot. Like I don't care. And
sure.
shockingly, and I and obviously I have changed appearance wise over the years, but they say yes a lot of times. I'm like, "Oh shit! Now I actually have to go on a date." Like, but it's because you're doing it more for you though. You're like and I don't mean that in a negative way, but it right now it's more proving to myself that I can do it and I'm not living in fear because
Right.
90% of people they live their whole life like that.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, and it shows you just what you're capable of, and it shows you that you just throw it there, and you have nothing to lose. I mean, so they
Absolutely.
say no, you're no worse off than you were without asking, and I figure if they say no, it's their loss, I
Exactly.
mean, I'm the best thing that ever happened, and they just obviously haven't seen that. There's two kinds of people: those that love me and those that don't know me.
Yeah.
So if they knew me, they would love me. So obviously they just don't know me. So it's amazing what you can accomplish with just you just put yourself out there a little bit, and obviously you've learned that.
Absolutely. And then once they see you winning and doing good, they always come back.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
But the key, you don't let them come back because they showed you they showed you right off the bat. You don't go back after
That's
that.
right.
But
Exactly. Excellent point. Excellent point. Yes.
um jump into fitness. What um what would you say are three things that have kept you so healthy and in such good shape for this long? Three like and obviously I get it. I drink enough water, diet. But like what are three for you, like a certain macronutrient breakdown, certain workout split. Give me some insight on that if you could.
Sure. Well, from a principle standpoint, from the high level, consistency and discipline and patience I mean, if
Huge.
you're consistent over time and you're patient with the process, even when you break all your bones, and you have the discipline to show up every day, that's going to stand. That's going to take you a lot. Now, the next thing you want to have though is knowledge, and that's what you're starting to hit at the knowledge of. Uh, we overcomplicate everything because nobody makes money if it's simple. If things are simple, nobody's making a dime. So you talked about the basic workout for muscle and fitness. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, you talked about the basic workout for muscle and fitness earlier, and what you if you stay with the basics. Now people go crazy on macros. Now you do need to track your nutrition, but you need to just find what your caloric ceiling is. If you want to, and you either want to go above that to gain weight or below it to lose weight. I've heard you say this on your own Instagram stuff. You're
Yeah,
very much in touch
like
with
calorie maintenance.
deficit. Yeah, and find your ceiling and get into a calorie deficit. Now people go, well, my carbs have had, you don't no, don't worry about your carbs and your fats. Get enough protein to build muscle, whether you're in a calorie deficit or a surplus. Your carbs and fats will take care of themselves.
Yeah,
Research shows this. And now, if you're taking it down the last 2 weeks of a bodybuilding show, you might want to pay a little bit more attention to it because if you're, if you are sensitive to a high a high fat diet, you may put the sardines away or whatever. But
yeah,
but um but really, if you track your nutrition and you know what your caloric level should be, and you hit that, and you get the amount of protein that you need, you don't have to. I mean, it's that simple, but you have to execute that plan. And most people will do anything rather than track their nutrition because they don't want to be honest with themselves, and they don't want to have to be accountable. And so
I
if
don't get.
yeah, and almost all workouts will work. They just won't work forever because your
Yeah,
body likes that change. It'll get into a routine because your body will adapt to any stress you put on it. Because I've done everything. I've done the Mensa heavy duty. I've done the high volume. I've done pre-exhaust. I've done yeah, every kind of thing imaginable over a 50-year stretch, and they all work, but they
yeah,
just don't work forever. And so you
yeah.
have to every 6 months or so you need to change up a little bit of what you're doing. But it's not rocket science, and people want to go. They want to make it complicated because then people will pay them for information. And as a
Yeah,
coach, the best thing you can do is I think to give them the knowledge that they need and hold them accountable. And
absolutely.
and because they need that accountability partner typically because they're not going to track their food unless they know you're looking. And it's
Yeah,
so easy now. I mean, my fitness pal, fat secret, Lane Norton's
yep.
thing. It's so easy to track your food, but people just they'd rather, I don't understand why I'm fat. Well, how many calories did you eat yesterday? Well, I don't know, but I ate healthy. If you can't tell me how many calories you ate yesterday, you're not serious.
Hey, that's what I'm saying. Like your level of effort is honestly like, I don't even want, disappointing doesn't even do it justice. It is sad.
Right.
Because, like, let me put this in perspective. Actually, a mentor of mine said this, because he lives in Miami too. Actually, he actually lives in the building right next to me. But, um, he lives on the top floor in a penthouse, and he's like, there are, people hanging by the top of a skyscraper, wiping the windows down. That's hard. Tracking your damn protein and macros, that's not hard. It takes 1 minute at each meal to enter some numbers in.
Right. Yeah. It's and people just don't want to. And the ones who record often under record what they're eating. That's research also shows that people,
Yeah.
so they're only eating 2,500 calories while they're really eating 4,000.
Yeah.
And they just don't. So it's basic thermogenesis. It doesn't lie. It's like gravity. You drop the ball, it's going to fall every single time, and it's basic science. But we want to say I'm different. I'm insulin sensitive. Well, even if you're insulin sensitive, it's still about a caloric deficit. Well,
Yeah.
I have a slow metabolism. Well, no, you probably don't. But even if you do, it's still about calorie deficit.
Yeah.
No matter how fast your metabolism or slow it is, it's still about being in a calorie deficit. And people just they would rather do anything than have to own their behavior. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, I'm gonna piss some people off saying this, but I'm not a fan of maybe for a very rare case, but oh my God, like I have so many family friends and taking Ozempic now and
Oh
all of
yeah,
that. And guess what? Those same people, like, because I know them, they have never tracked calories a day in their life, and they talk about it, but they never do.
right.
They would just rather, again, they'd rather spend all this money when they can use it for something else, and they could use that same money to get like premium MyFitnessPal and actually get the food to eat healthy, but they'd rather buy this drug. I don't understand that. It's very
Well,
hard for
what's
me. Like,
Yeah, and what's so interesting is that they're proof. Ozempic and Wegovy and these semaglutide drugs are proof that it's about the calorie deficit because
yeah,
they're appetite suppressants and they don't eat as much and they lose the weight. Now,
yeah,
I'm okay with these drugs if you're a really obese person and you've tried everything and you need help. It might take you to a point where you can start helping yourself, but eventually your
same.
appetite's going to come back and there's going to be maybe some issues around the stomach problems and skin problems. There's going to be issues. So yeah, I agree with you. Why not just do it the right way and or the old-fashioned way at least? And because when I was growing up in the 60s and 70s, we didn't have this obesity problem. I mean,
Yeah,
you can look at old movies, you can look at old photographs from the 60s and 70s. There weren't fat people anywhere. They just weren't. And now I walk through the grocery store and I go, "Oh my God, what happened to us?" You know,
yeah,
it's like it's just now obviously all the hyper palatable processed food makes it really hard to feel full and it's empty calories and you have a little bit of this and you want more because it doesn't satisfy you. I understand that. I mean, there's reasons why we're fat. So stop eating the highly processed, hyper palatable food that doesn't satisfy you and makes you want more. There was a fitness guru named Jack LaLanne when I was growing up. He was one of the first pioneers of fitness gyms and whatnot. And he said, if it falls from a tree, grows in the ground, swims in the ocean, or runs across the Serengeti, I'll probably eat it.
yeah,
If it's comes in a can or a box, or a man makes it, I probably won't.
yeah,
And really, it's basically real food. He's just talking about eating actual food as opposed to stuff that man makes, puts in a preservatives and all kinds of things. And yeah, you can store it for 2 years, but you eat it, and it has no food value.
yeah.
And that's kind of where we're at.
And I mean, like, those foods are literally made for you to be addicted to them. People don't realize that.
Yes,
That's why,
yes,
like, you, obviously, as we both know, a calorie deficit is what you need to lose weight. But if someone came to me and I just said only eat whole foods, cut out all the processed foods you eat, they're gonna lose weight. I mean, unless they're just a psychopath and can eat like 5 pounds of chicken. But I've yet to meet someone that can do that. But but no, it's really that simple. I mean, yes, like I have some clients currently that I don't. For some people, like I'll give this different perspective. But if they're really low on protein, I still like for them and their busy schedule, the only way they're gonna hit their protein is to have a protein bar or a protein shake.
Right.
So in
Yeah.
that situation, from studies, it's actually better, even if it's processed or man-made, it's better to have the protein and hit their protein mark than to just stay with whole foods and fall well below that. So that's the
Right.
only time. Yeah.
Right. No, I agree, and the research backs that up. And so yeah, I will. For a long time, I quit like protein drinks and stuff, but I've gradually brought back protein drinks and like 60-calorie bread. There's this stuff called Dave's bread that's 60 calories, and I got rid of all sugar for a while. And I did it gradually. I got rid of peanut butter, I got rid of bread, I got rid of protein bars, I got rid of protein drinks, I got rid of anything that had added sugar in it, and I got really shredded. I mean, it was how I went from like 150 to I actually competed. I took second place at 123 pounds. And
Wait,
I just
at what age?
I was 67 or 68 then. The following year, I went back trying to hit 130 pounds, and I won at 128 pounds.
It's
And
amazing.
even that I
Just,
felt was too small. What's
just for the
that?
audience, just for the audience, so they know how tall are you?
Oh yeah, I'm 5'6" and a half.
Okay.
So, and I walk around now at about 135 pounds, and that's pretty jacked. It's a nice weight. It's comfortable. It's not, and people go, "Oh, that guy looks pretty good," but I'm not like shredded and as ripped as I would be for competition. But at the same time, when you've been training for 50 years plus, you have shape and muscle maturity that
Yeah.
a lot of young people just don't have because they just don't have the years in yet. And
Yeah.
so I'm pretty good that way. But you're absolutely right. The whole idea is it's better to get your protein requirements and have a few grams of sugar because they're finding that doesn't really hurt you as bad. It's just the like you said the hyper palatable foods that you just keep eating, and you're right, they engineer that stuff so that you won't feel full and you'll want to keep eating it. And
Yeah.
it's like and I fall victim. I go, oh my God, I that was really good, and so I just gotta stop. You know, I
Same
just
here.
stop, and so I have to like beat myself up, but it doesn't happen very often. But every now and then you go, oh yeah,
What two questions before I go into the ones to finish it up. But first, what would like I'm trying to think if being on prep. I'm trying to think if I want to ask you if when you're cutting or bulking, what's like a normal day of eating for you? Whether you can
okay.
talk now compared to when you were a little younger, the actual food you're eating, how many meals, all that sort of stuff.
When I was in the 1970s, when I was playing football and trying to get bigger, I actually ate up to 10,000 calories a day,
Wait, wait,
and I
wait,
was living.
wait. Say that one more
Yes.
time.
Yeah, I went to college at about 140 pounds, and I walked onto the football team, and I got up to 170 by just eating about 10,000 calories a day constantly and lifting weights like a madman back when nobody else was doing it. So, but now I eat under 2,000 calories every day. I will get up and I'll have a 140 grams. I mean, 140 calories, 30 grams of protein in a bottled shake. just to have, because I like to have the protein synthesis going on all day. Then I'll go work out about probably 10 in the morning. About 12:30 or 1 in the afternoon, I will have a boneless, skinless chicken breast with broccoli, cauliflower, and onion. Then about 3 or 4 hours later, about 4 to 5 in the afternoon, I will have a salmon sandwich, a piece of salmon on these two 60-calorie breads. It's 280 total calories, 30 grams of protein, and a dry baked potato, which is really satiating on
Yeah.
top of that. Then 3 or 4 hours after that, about 7:30 or 8 at night, I'll have a plate of like vegetables and I'll put some tuna or sardines or salmon or something in it. Uh, and hopefully that'll keep me full through bedtime. But if not, if I feel like I got to have a little more, I'll have another protein shake or something around 10 or bedtime. And I keep that synthesis going all throughout the
Absolutely.
night. Now,
So 3 or 4 meals.
yeah, about 4 meals, and then maybe a one more snack or something. I might have an apple or something. And if I
Yeah.
was competing, dill pickles are really good when you just
The
got to have
sodium.
something substantive at night because there's no calories to them, and yet they're
Yeah.
kind of you chewing and you're
Yeah.
swallowing and because there's nothing worse than the last couple of weeks before a show when you're eating 12 1300 calories, if you're
Yeah.
lucky. And you know so uh I don't miss that, but at the same time, it wasn't brutal. Like you said, it's not like being on the 80th floor of a building washing a window on a scaffolding that may or may not hold up. It's just it's not that hard.
Yeah. What was there a specific do you still track macros before I ask my question?
I track protein and calories, and
Perfect.
if I was competing, I might look at the fats and carbs, but not really. I mean, I can tell the carbs are good when occasionally I'll have some like rice cakes too. They're 35 calories, but they've got that kind of filling. I can have three rice cakes and 105 calories and feel kind of full,
Yeah.
and they will blow you up too. The carbs the next day if I have like a baked potato and some uh, rice cakes and stuff, my muscles will blow up the next day.
Yeah.
It's just the carb. I guess it's carb loading in a sense, but uh, I don't do that very often. But that's another food I will allow. The rice cakes are useful. So.
Yeah. What time do you usually work out?
These days, now that I get to sleep and I'm retired, I usually hit it about 10 in the morning. Uh,
Okay.
I have to, because of all the injuries and the broken bones and stuff, I have to get up and I have to get a really hot shower, sometimes some heating pads, just to kind of get, loose, get the neck, because I got a lot of metal in my body. But then by 10 in the morning, I'm caffeinated, hydrated, ready to go, and I can get a good workout in, and I'm pretty loose for the rest of the day. But by the next morning, you wake up and you just go, "Oh God." You go. I'm really glad to be alive, but how am I going to get to the bathroom? I think I may
No.
have to crawl. Yeah, it's like, and it's hard to explain this to people because they see you as daddy because they see me. I'm looking pretty good. I'm moving pretty quick. But first thing in the morning is like, oh my God, what is happening? And you just go, so you just sort of crawl to the bathroom and go, God, I need a drink. Can I get a drink of water? How do I do this? And you're like this little old man and you're just like shuffling and you just go, how did this happen? But then you get your hot shower, you visit, and then okay, now I'm all right, now all right, put me in the MMA ring, I'm ready to go, and it just takes a while now.
Yeah. And just so the audience knows, the reason like you're really stiff in the morning, that isn't from working out itself. It's from jumping off
No,
a
it's
cliff.
from accidents. It's yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, even when I played college football, it's 4 years of that kind of stuff. I broke a couple ankles there. I tore some knee ligaments. Probably 4 or 5 concussions, and over
Wow.
time that creates like arthritis and
Yeah.
different things that you have. And then falling off the cliff, about 18, 19 months ago, where I broke a bunch of bones. That was the capper, and that's like, and I had a great surgeon. I always say I have good news and bad news. I love my surgeons, but that's the good news. The bad news is I have surgeons. It's like I have a heart surgeon, I have a back surgeon, and they're great. But it's like life would be so much better if they weren't in my life. But
No, for sure.
it's but you have to have that sense of humor about stuff too. If you take yourself too seriously, I mean, you just because as you know from your own afflictions and problems, you just you can blow your brains out if you take yourself too seriously.
None of us
And
get out of this game of life alive. Like, have some damn fun.
yeah, exactly. And find the fun in the grind, and find the fun in the work, and find the fun in
Exactly.
the
Not the wrong kind.
yeah, exactly. Because you can have some fun in the wrong kind too, but you're probably gonna pay a price for it.
Absolutely.
So
I'm
it all
uh,
depends on what you want to do.
in terms of competing, what would you say, can anyone compete? What should they expect? Like, is it something where if someone has had like, well, there's some different things. If someone has had an eating disorder in the past and super OCD, or like about everything they eat, like I have some female clients especially that are like that, or um what's another example? Let's just stay with that. Like, what who is competing for and who is it not for? Because I'll be honest, I've thought about it. Just again, like we've met and talked the last hour or so. You probably know, but it's like if it comes to my mind, I'm gonna do it. We only live once, so might as well. But me personally, I am very OCD and like eating the same thing every day and that sort of thing. And if I do something, I'm gonna take it to the damn
Yeah,
extreme. Like I don't
yeah.
do anything and not want to be the best at it. So, um, with that being said, like, do you think it could be good for me, or do you think for someone like me, or again, someone with a, or you want like in modern days, everyone says relationship with food, it's not the best. Who would you say competing is for, and who is it not for?
That's a really great question, and I hadn't actually ever thought really about it that much before. But I'm glad you raised it because the first thing that comes to mind is respect the sport. Whether we're talking about bodybuilding or physique, nobody wants to be that guy that gets up on the stage and everybody goes, "What is he doing here?"
Yeah,
So sometimes you can answer your own question by looking in the mirror. But
yeah,
having said that, it gets back to what I talked about before with the discipline and the patience and the consistency. No one would have ever given me a shot at competing because with a 5 foot mother who weighed 90 pounds and a 5'9", 5'10" dad who weighed maybe 160.
yeah,
Nobody would have given me a shot, but I outlasted everyone. I
yeah,
trained for 50 years. And I got up on stage in my 60s, and everybody's going to go, man, that dude's been jacked. I mean, and because by then, the four best athletes in my high school have all died. They all died in their 60s, and I'm up there killing it.
yeah,
But so it was that patience, the love of training, and the consistency over time, and now I look damn good.
yeah,
Uh, but it took a lot of time. Now, the other thing, uh, my son, he's not my biological son, but he is. I adopted him, and he's gifted physically, just Now, when he told me first he was going to compete, he's lifted on and on for a few years, and I thought, wow, he wants to compete in May, and it's like 7 months before, and I'm thinking, wow, that's pretty quick, but we'll see. He killed it. He finished second. I mean, he just it was awesome. I mean,
Yeah,
he's just gifted. He trained hard. He earned it, but
yeah.
he just. I'm 8 pack. I mean, I'm going, oh my God, this kid's amazing.
Like the short bicep insertions, all the striding.
Yes, exactly. He's good, and he just nailed it. And so for him, it's an absolute 100% yes. A person who's OCD, 100% yes. But here's the other thing: you you want to be accountable, and the way to do that is to either schedule a contest. And it doesn't have to be a big one; it could be a local little show or something to get you going. But you can also schedule a photo shoot. Now,
Yeah,
the first time, and maybe that's the first starting point. Now, I always have a professional photographer come in when I'm competing, and I thank God I had one for my son too, because the photos are amazing, and you have them for the rest of your life.
yeah,
But that might be the starting point for people, and to go, okay, get a professional photographer, and that way you are accountable to your diet. You're going to pay this guy some money, and so you're not going to cheat as much as you might otherwise. You take a look at that and you go, yeah, I think I could compete. It might take me another year. It might take 2 years. And a lot of the guys that I compete with, the younger ones, will take a year, 2 years between shows just to work on. They know they got to get better, and they want to
yeah,
get better. And so, but yes, a goal to train for is so important. And the thing is, you don't know how good you're going to be.
yeah,
I didn't know if I could come back from a catastrophic injury.
yeah.
And I didn't know, but the only way you know is you get in there and you find out. And
Exactly.
and, and that's one of my mottos. People go, "What's your motto?" I go, "Well, this week my motto was let's find out." And
And
now
and
I have,
guess what? Think about
yeah,
this. What's the worst that can happen from actually trying? Because think
yeah,
about it. Me, really, there's multiple things I didn't even touch on, but including the brain tumor. I shouldn't be alive. You shouldn't be alive.
right,
So nothing, nothing even compares to that.
right,
So even if we were to get last in a bodybuilding contest, that doesn't even compare to what we've been through and having no life. So it really
right.
isn't anything.
And training hard, and you just get better. I mean, the worst that can happen is you're better than you were when you started,
Yeah,
and it's a healthy thing to do. So I encourage everybody to either train for competition, train for a photo shoot, but definitely train if you're of a mind to. Sometimes people just want to exercise,
yeah.
but exercise to me is different than training
No,
because
same here.
training implies a plan.
Yeah.
Exercise implies, well, I'm just going to go, run around for a little bit, and
They
that's
go
that's
all
better than
around. They
nothing.
go all around the gym.
Yeah, I mean that's better than nothing. But at the same time, I'm like you. I like to have a plan. I like to have some structure. I like to have somewhere I'm going to and progressing towards. And but I think it's so. I would say to answer your question, training is pretty much for everybody. A competition is pretty much for everybody, but you got to find your niche, and you may need to be a little bit patient. It's because you might be better suited for bodybuilding with the little short speedo posing trunks, or you might be better disposed for physique competition with the board shorts.
Yeah.
You might be, and the thing is too, something we haven't talked about, drugs. Uh, drugs. A lot of guys are jumping on trend before they've even been training 6 months. These It's like, oh my God, what are you doing?
Horrible.
Uh, yeah, and I bill myself as the world's greatest lifetime drug-free over 70 physique athlete because now they've got research that shows that if you took steroids 40 years ago, you still have a competitive advantage today because you built these cells, these myofibrils that are bigger. And I mean, so having never taken anything beyond creatine, I feel like I can bill myself as this kind of unicorn. Uh,
Mhm.
but I strongly tell guys to stay off the juice at least until you've reached your own genetic potential. If you peak out and plateau somewhere, then if you get a doctor on board, you think it's the right thing to do for you, go ahead. I would never do it. I don't think it's a good idea. Uh, but there again, it gets back to patience. We don't
Yeah.
have the patience a lot of times, and guys want they take it now. They're going to be, hey, I'll be jacked in 3 months, and they go, well, yeah, you'd probably be more jacked than you would be, but you're also doing some damage over the long run. But everybody gets to choose.
No, exactly. And I mean, in my head, like I know for a fact, I'm never gonna do anything like that again. Like I haven't even taken creatine in a while, to be honest. But um, like it's just not even. It's just not the same because first of all, I there's a lot of people like I've seen, especially like it's almost like people in their 30s. I feel like that's a age that like people like to jump on. And if I'm being honest, they do not look good. Like, because you could tell they don't track. Their
Right.
workouts are not the best. Like, if you don't stop thinking about damn drugs, if you haven't tracked your macros and worked out properly for at least, I would say 15 years, to be honest.
Right.
Like, but most people go 3 months and like, yeah, I'm just gonna jump on.
Yeah, it's crazy, but they do it. But no, I would encourage you to start targeting a competition and start training towards that. And the guy that named Phil Heath was an 8-time
Yeah.
Mr. Olympia. Played point guard in college as a basketball player.
Yep.
He's Mr. Olympia 8 times and played college basketball, and like you. And
I
so
went to the same gym as him in Phoenix when he went track club. He went there when he was
okay,
in Phoenix. Yeah.
yeah, and so he's out here from Seattle, and I've talked to him a
Yeah.
couple times,
Tacoma.
but yeah, and so you just never know. I mean, but yeah, if you train hard, you train consistently, you eat properly, uh, and at your age, you can afford to have a caloric surplus, a bit, don't go crazy with it, but you can continue to build muscle. And then, what I talked to a 22-year-old trainer at the gym where I work out the other day, and he was asking me some questions about it. And I said, well, if I was you, I would bulk with a slight caloric surplus for about 6 months, and then I would cut for maybe 3 months, and then bulk for 6 months, and then cut for 3 months, and
Yeah.
and just see how that goes as an experiment. Uh, we didn't know. When I was starting in the '70s, we just eat, lift.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. How much can you bench? A shit ton. That was basically the science. So, I'll go down to the Waffle House and eat everything they had.
I kind of I'm at a point now where like people that I want to look good year round. So I like
Hmm.
personally I'm not a fan of I mean this is just for me personally. Everyone's different. I like if I can't I'll feel disgusted with myself if I can't see my abs. Like I cherish those. So like I think and obviously sometimes like especially if you want to take bodybuilding far, you're gonna have to get over that because like it is true. Like the most anabolic. I just heard. I think it was the Mind Pump podcast. I don't know if you watch them at all. Um,
Sure.
if like obese people are like the most anabolic because they're always eating. If they just cut, they would see all the muscle underneath. But um, but no. So one thing that my a previous mentor of mine talked about that he does is and there's some studies to support this, but he does mini bulks and cuts. So it's literally a 2 week surplus followed by a 2 week deficit. But it's so small that you're still, because let's be real, like even me, like, because a lot of people that come to me have never lifted before or they took a break for a long time, They can't
Right.
gain muscle and lose fat because they're beginners. But after the first few years, as you know, that's not going to happen anymore. You really can only do one at one time. But if you do 2 weeks, a slight slurp, can't talk, a 2 week surplus, 2 week deficit, it's so small that you won't ever just look like crap. But you'll still get the benefits. You're going to gain muscle, but you're not going to gain a crazy amount of fat either. And you can progress that and look good year round.
Yeah, there's something called gaintaining,
Yep.
which
Yep.
is, yeah, and it's kind of like that. And when you're my age, bulking really isn't even a thing anymore.
Yeah.
If you bulk, if you eat too much, you're gonna be fat.
Yeah.
Because our hormones are not cranking like they used to. Now, a lot of guys my age are on TRT doing the testosterone thing. I've never done that either, but and I think that might help some. But I just think that it's better to at this point, as you get beyond 50, probably, you want to just make sure you're not surplusing too much.
Yeah.
Uh, and but no, I think if you want to keep your abs, you can do that. And I'll tell you what, though, you might surprise yourself, and maybe you would know this better because you probably experimented already. But I watched my son eat a fair amount and kill an 8 pack, and
Yeah.
I'm like I'm banging my head against the wall, and I'm just going, wow, and so you might be able to keep those abs and still eat because it's a muscle. We're talking about a muscle now.
Yep.
There's layers of fat and whatnot, but you might be able to eat more than you think you can and maintain that 6 pack. But yeah, it's everybody's a little different, and
For sure.
we all have our own metabolisms and the things that we got to deal with.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
but as you approach, as 20, you're going to be able to get away with a lot more than the average guy 40 years older than you.
Yeah.
So so don't be
Absolutely.
afraid to experiment a little bit. Just don't go off the
Absolutely.
deep end.
Good old trial in there.
That's it.
um,
Yeah, you'll learn a lot.
no, for sure. Absolutely. Few questions. So from not even just lifting, but your entire life, what is one thing you wish or what is one thing you would tell your 12-year-old self when you were that young?
I would say get clarity on what you value and who you want to be. In other words, your values and your identity, and then live those. And it may seem a little young for that, but your values can change, and who you want to be can change. You may not know who you want to be yet at 12,
Yeah.
but what you
No,
want to
no, that's very
do,
young.
yeah, it's very young. But don't be afraid to think about what's important to me and what's in my best interest in the long term. And you can almost always come up with education, health, intelligence, kindness, good behavior, religion, whatever, and you can figure those things out. Start to think about that at 12 as you formulate an identity, and you'll begin to discover the things that you're good at.
Yeah.
And that also can lend itself into future vocational aspirations, things that because we tend to like the things that we're good at, and
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure. Good gift.
and so at 12, I would say just keep experimenting, figure out what you like, think about who you want to be, and don't be afraid to change your mind if something comes up,
Absolutely.
because opportunities that you don't even know when you're 12, you don't know about stuff you don't know.
Exactly.
There are jobs out there that you've never heard of, and you're like, oh, you might be really great at that. Uh, but yeah, and maybe probably should tell them to have a little bit of fun too.
Yeah.
You're 12.
Yeah.
You're 12.
And yeah, I obviously know that's very young. Like for me, for instance, this is honestly the reason I ask it. Like I had not my real dad. Me and my dad are insanely close, but I had a father figure at the time because my dad was high up in the automotive space. He ran a dealership out in Oregon, so he was traveling a lot. But I had a father figure actually ended up going to jail, and but this was someone that I saw every day, and all of a sudden left in my life. So it kind of everything just kind of flipped upside down. But
Yeah.
at that age, you obviously don't know what happens. You just someone that you see every day isn't there anymore. Um, but then that's one thing. But also another reason I said 12 is because when you look back, like at least for me, I still remember even being that young. It was right when I moved to Arizona from Oregon, but um, you just care so much about what everyone thinks, trying to fit in. 'Cause that's right, like right before you turn to 13,
Yeah.
like middle school, like that's when like a lot of the bullying stuff started for like I mean, I was really big as a kid, so it was in elementary school too, but middle school was when like all the like a lot of the severe stuff started.
Yeah,
But
that's when it happens. Yep. Yep.
yeah, but no, that's a good answer. I like that. What what's been your hardest let besides falling off a cliff? What
Yeah.
is whether it's heartbreak, death of a loved one, or anything else you haven't shared yet? What's been the hardest thing you've overcome, and how has it shaped you today, into the man you are today?
Boy. Oh, that's a good question. I think just being on my own at 18, my it was always it was always we always knew I was going to go to college, and
Yeah,
I was told from an early age that I was going to pay for it. So you are going to college, and it's going to be on you to pay for it.
yeah,
So I had just the most formative experience at 18. My dad dropped me off at the college dorm. Said, "Good luck. You're a great kid. Hope it works out for you." And I managed to figure out at 18 how to work 84 hours a week in the summer at the Green Giant Company in Belvedere, Illinois, play piano bars on top of that. So I had a 100-hour work week in the summers so that I could go back to college. I would crawl to the YMCA about 3 times a week to lift weights at their universal gym machines on top of the 100-hour weeks. Uh, and I managed to put myself through college as I posed nude for art classes for $12 an hour. I did everything you could possibly do to pay my way through college, and I did. And then I went to graduate school, and that was it was awesome. I loved college. I mean, college
yeah,
was fantastic, but it was difficult, and I played football, and I was getting beat up quite a bit there, and but all those experiences and life lessons turned me into the person that I was today.
yeah,
Those 84-hour work weeks with migrant workers and guys who, I mean, there weren't women around, and I was a 20-year-old good-looking young kid, and some of those guys were just out of San Quentin, and they were thinking of me in ways other than we want to be thought of. and so I kept a lead pipe with me. I mean, it was brutal, but
yeah,
it everything compared to that was easy. When
yep,
I went back to college, I'm like going, this is great. Are you kidding me? We got 22,000 kids here. 14,000 of them are girls. They're making food for me. I got I go I get to play football. This is crazy. This is
yeah,
the best I've and I get to learn stuff, and yet I'd only have to go to class like 15 hours a week. This is insane. And then I'd go back to this 84-hour-a-week job, and then and just go, oh my God, these 3 months, how am I going to make it? And then you go back to the 9 month vacation that was college, you know. But that really that formulated for me that everything compared to that was going to be easy for the rest of my life,
oh,
and
absolutely,
essentially it was. Corporate America was easy compared to that. I can remember getting up in front of vice presidents and explaining a $2 million overrun. It was easy compared to the migrant workers coming
Absolutely.
after me who wanted to have sex with me. You know, it's like that was easy, you know.
Yeah.
And, so those difficult times, and young men don't have these crucible experiences quite so often anymore. Whether it's 3 a day hot August football practices, or whether it's going off to a place, a boot camp or some crazy thing, they don't always have those tough experiences, and it's not their fault when they feel like they, maybe life isn't happening the way it should be because they just haven't had their teeth kicked in.
Yeah.
Once you've had something relatively awful happen for a fair amount of time, the rest of it becomes very simple. And
Yeah.
maybe that's an oversimplification, but
No, not
that,
at all. Like, people ask me, like, why are you so weird? And of course, being weird in today's age is actually caring about your health, taking care of yourself, not going and drinking and hooking up with every girl you see like a ping pong machine. That's what they
yeah,
call weird, but that's besides the point. Um, but anyways, I don't I actually don't even like explaining myself anymore because you won't understand it. You didn't have a brain tumor. You didn't have your head slammed against desk and the teacher even laughing at you and not doing anything about it. Like you didn't have all this shit. You didn't have a freaking needle stuck in your back and almost like paralyze you in the spine. You didn't almost die in a car accident. Like, you can't relate to it, and I don't want you to. So, but
yeah,
unless you have something like that, I mean, I've even thought about that. Like, when I
yeah,
have kids, like, obviously you don't want anything bad to happen to them, but it's just like, even like the most successful people, they've had like at least one like just horrible thing because, like you said, now that's the rock bottom, the
right.
abyss, the abyss. The podcast name, like, you can't go any lower than that. So anything else you think's hard, like an 84-hour work week, that's nothing compared to where you once were.
Right. Yeah, it's all relative, and you're right. When you're a parent, you don't want your kids to suffer, and you want to protect them and take care of them. But you also know that there are times when it would be better off if you just got out of the way and let them solve the problem, and handle it, because that's going to stand them in a better stead for moving forward. So yeah,
Absolutely. That's really big in 2025 too.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right. What is one last thing? What's one piece of advice you'd give to anyone, whether it's fitness wise, mentally, just to leave on a good note? What's a piece of advice you would tell someone that you wish you, you wish you knew? It could be something that you still are working on, but just a piece of advice that would help you a lot, maybe a little bit younger.
Yeah, I think just continue to study, get clear on your values and who you want to be. Uh, and I study the Stoic virtues. There are four Stoic
Yeah,
virtues of wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. Uh, and if you have that umbrella over you and you refer back to those things, and you can go, is this courageous, is this a disciplined thing, is this wise, does it contribute to justice? Those are good principles to follow, but I would say make sure you get your own principles, like the three I mentioned, and the foremost being, I only do that which strengthens me, I do nothing that weakens me. And if you have those things, you always have a point of reference. This is who I
anchor.
am. Yeah, yeah, anchor. Yes, and this is who I am. This is how I behave. What you do is up to you, but this is what I stand for. These are the things that I value. And if you get clear on that, life is easier and decisions become easier. Uh, and you can change over time. There's nothing wrong with
Yeah,
that. But just knowing that you have this grounded sense of right, wrong, will do this, won't do that, am
yeah,
about this, not about that. uh, that makes life, I think, more comfortable, more worthwhile, and you're gonna always be better off. So that's
I
probably
love that. Absolutely. You're not, it's black and white. You're not in the gray.
right. Yeah, it's very binary, and that can make life a lot simpler as well. So,
Absolutely. And as we know, in fitness and everything else, simple is 99.9%, if not more, the best way
yeah,
to do everything. Because in a world
yes,
like today, we like to
execute.
complicate everything. Yep.
Yeah, just execute on the simplicity, and you'll probably be in better shape than anybody. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Lee, I appreciate you jumping on the pod today. Cool that you got me on the first podcast. Obviously, in the future, just so I can come back in a few years once
Mhm.
I'm fully have this going. But my what I plan on doing is I want this to be fully in person, but obviously, gotta build up to that, and then once I can have my own studio and that sort of thing. But no, it's pretty cool that for as long as 50 years down the line, we could still say you were the first guest. So
It's
pretty
been an
cool.
honor. It's been an honor. And if people want to find me, they can find me Lee Witt Fit on Instagram, LeeWittFit. They can find me there. And no, I really appreciate that. I think a great young man, and this podcast is going to be it's going to be killer. And it's been an honor to be the first guest, so I appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate you guys. Until next time. Bam, bam. All right, let's see. I think